Being the country with the most people infected with the HIV/AIDS virus has impacted a large amount of people in the country of South Africa. For many, it is a part of their everyday life. About 10.9% of South Africans have the HIV/AIDS virus. In 2012, 47% of all deaths in South Africa were HIV/AIDS related. As you can imagine, this takes a huge toll on the government to manage this great issue. In 1985, the South African government put into place the very first AIDS advisory group to deal with this issue. Over the years, the South African government has taken more and more steps to help the country. For example, they have been making a drug that prevents AIDS spreading to newborn children more and more accessible to everybody. However, over time, the South African government has also tried to avoid the issue or seemingly ignore it. Because the government has to deal with this issue so often, they are forced to devote a lot of time and money. As a consequence, the estimated GDP of the country would be much higher and would have much better growth if the government did not have to devote so much time and money on containing the virus. More important than AIDS affecting the government, it also affects the everyday lives of 5.7 million South Africans. Some of these effects include widespread poverty in the rural areas of the country. These people who usually make their living off farming are not able to afford the medication to keep them going. Even if they could, they would not be able to support their family as a result. A consequence of this is that many adults die, and their kids are left as orphans. Some of the orphans even have AIDS themselves. This is why another problem is the growing orphan population in South Africa. Another growing issue is the rise in sexual violence among South Africans. Some tribes of people believe that other people must share in their suffering and deliberately spread the virus to others. Unfortunately, the most common way this is done is by rape. In some communities, it is even thought that raping someone would make the virus go away. This also makes South Africa one of the countries with the most rape incidents. AIDS in South Africa also affects other neighboring countries because there is a continental-wide lack of resources and funding needed to help cure this epidemic. As the issue of AIDS continues, hospitals have had trouble taking care of everybody. More than half of the hospital beds are occupied by patients with an HIV-related disease. Research showed that on average, HIV-positive patients are staying at hospitals 4 times longer than other patients. Because of this, more people are admitted in the later stages of their illnesses, which calls for a smaller window for the patient's recovery. Furthermore, less and less people are also working at the hospitals. They work many hours and are not paid very well either. Many have decided to leave their work in South Africa because they found new opportunities that allowed them to move to a richer country. As if the workers did not have enough strain on themselves as it is, the use of antiretroviral drugs, which significantly delay the progression from HIV to AIDS, takes more time and training to provide to the patients. AIDS also strips families of their assets and income earners, further impoverishing the poor. The people who provide the income are prevented from working because they either obtain AIDS themselves or they are caring for a family member who already has it. Sometimes, the child has to abandon his education. This does not allow him to acquire the tools necessary to get a good job so that he can obtain a good income in order to support his family. In other cases, some women have to turn to prostitution to gain money. But they also increase the risk of HIV transmission. This is a pyrrhic victory though, because while they obtain money, they increase their risk of gaining HIV themselves. HIV/AIDS virus has affected both the country of South Africa and its neighboring countries in many ways. The country of South Africa is believed to have more people infected with HIV/AIDS than any other country in the world. Because of this, their GDP, or gross domestic product, as a country is lower than it should be. There are also high orphan rates, high poverty in most areas, and increased sexual violence. South African HIV/AIDS not only affects the country of South Africa, but also affects the nearby surrounding countries, because it is the most advanced country in the region and a leader of sorts. As a result, South Africa has a lot of responsibility for not only containing the HIV/AIDS virus in its own country, but also helping those around it.